Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. Now, this video is a follow-up to my last video, which was called The Internet Will Send Us Mad, and also about this thing that is going on with the Eurovision Song Contest, and specifically the artificial created fuss over the Irish entry. This is a great example of what I've been talking about, because basically, if you're sucked into this nonsense online, if you then have an opinion on it, it follows the pattern I was talking about. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It's created as a no-win situation for an audience that is participating. You can only win by not participating. It's engagement, outrage, farming. It's a pantomime for that reason. It's playing into stereotypes, satanic stereotypes, deliberately in order to create outrage. So that if you're for it, you're cursed. But conversely, if you condemn it, you're also cursed. Yeah, that's the idea. That's how the false prophet works. This is yet just another example. And I'll explain more what I mean about this Eurovision controversy a little later in the video. Although I am loath to talk about this certain thing, as I don't talk about stuff in the news so much these days. Yet it does help me to get my point across, and hopefully it alerts people to the game that is being played on them and elsewhere. But first, I just want to show how subtle the devil is. It's not obvious the tricks that are being played on the masses. So I'll talk a little bit more about this Ireland Eurovision thing a bit later in the video, and how it is an example of the way the false prophet works. But the point is that I've been making recently is that the media, the internet, the alternative media, the social media is the false prophet of revelation, right? Now, when I say the media, the alternative media, the internet, there is a broader way of looking at this. I'm talking about the international electronic communication system that connects the entire world, okay? Which has been around for a good 100 years or so. And what you observe today as the internet, social media, smartphones, everyone connected through Wi-Fi and so forth, what you see now, that is the technological evolvement of the international electronic communication system. And electronic communication started with the telegram, which then became the telephone, which then became radio and then television, which you now know has evolved into the internet, social media, smartphones, Wi-Fi, as it is today. It's been around for a good 150 years. Okay, so all of that is what I believe to be the false prophet of Revelation. Now remember, in scripture, it states the false prophet, the second beast, causes the inhabitants of the world to follow the first beast. So it's the beast's PR agent. It recruits followers for the beast. And as it states in scripture, both the first beast and the second beast, false prophet, are both powered by the dragon, which is Satan. It states this in Revelation 13. Go read it for yourself. And we also know that the devil is spoken of in Ephesians 2:2. It says, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of the world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Now the prince of the power of the air is the devil. He influences and makes disobedient the inhabitants of the earth through the air, has great influence over the electronic communication systems. Remember, Jesus said in Luke 10:18, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. That's electricity. If you recall, I talked about the Tunguska event that happened in 1908, the largest natural explosion of all time. A mysterious event. People claim it was a meteor, yet there was no crater. I talked about it in this video here. I'll link to these videos below because I haven't got time to go over it all again, you know. I'm not saying that this is the case, right? So it's a theory here that Satan fell to earth in 1908. And that was the Tunguska event. And this ties in with electricity and how it has evolved so fast in the last 100 years. As it was only after that Tunguska event time when electricity started to go into people's homes. And shortly after that, you had the First World War and then the Second World War. And the telegram, for example, it only became automated in 1914. So electronic international communication had not really begun until after that event in 1908. And it was this that made it possible for world wars to happen. The advancement of electrical international communication made it possible for world wars to happen. It made it possible for that international interconnectivity between nations. You'll have to check out my video on this to get more details, right? Okay, now even though it was automated in 1914, there was much experimenting with this telegram system for a good 50 years or so before it was utilized properly. And this is interesting, right? The first message that was ever sent through a telegram was back in 1844. It says here, on May 24th, 1844, the first message, "What hath God wrought?" It was sent through Morse code. This was very early on. It took another 50 years to perfect the system. But the first message was, "What hath God wrought?" Which means, look what God has made, or what has God created. And this message is taken directly from a verse in the King James Bible. Now this phrase only matches one verse in the Bible. It comes from Numbers 23:23, which states, "Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. According to this time it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel, what hath God wrought?" Now this verse is talking about how no witchcraft, no spells or no sorcery can work against the children of God, okay? Now what's interesting is that this is taken from the story of Balaam and Balak. So to try and keep this as simple as possible, right? To keep it as simple as possible, it's about a king, Balak, who is afraid of a great number of people who follow God, right? Who are coming close to his city. So he gets a sorcerer, a prophet named Balaam, to put a curse on the children of God. When the sorcerer tries then to curse the children of God, God intervenes and tells the sorcerer, "You cannot curse my people," and he forces him to bless his people instead, much to the king's annoyance. This happens a number of times. So the sorcerer says to the king, "I can't put a curse on these people. God won't let me. The only way you can get the children of God to be cursed is if you get them to curse themselves by influencing them to break commandments. And therefore they will annoy God, and then he will punish them himself." So the king and the sorcerer, they sent their own people into the camp of the children of God in order to seduce them, in order to influence them to worship false idols, to try to get them to influence them to eat food sacrificed to false gods, and so on. As it states here, it appears that since he could not curse the children of God, he found another way to fulfill the wishes of the king who was paying him. Balaam, the sorcerer, knew that if the children of God could be seduced into idol worship, that God himself would then curse them. So they got the children of God to curse themselves through influencing them. This is what I was talking about before, self-imposed curses. These people were not forced into breaking commandments and turning against God. They were seduced. They were influenced to do so. They could have said no, but they didn't. They were drawn in. Their attention was captured, and they ended up cursing themselves because they were influenced by others to do the wrong thing. And this is the same thing you see happening today on the internet, through social media, the mainstream stories and the alternative media reactions. They're shepherding you to break commandments and curse yourself, okay? And that is what the false prophet's job is on an international level, through this electronic communication international system, to make the masses curse themselves through its influence. That's why it says in scripture, it causes people to follow the beast. It doesn't say it forces them to follow the beast, it causes. And it does it now through the internet media. Isn't it interesting, right, that it was this phrase from that verse, from those events in scripture, that was used as the first message to be put through any form of electronic message system. The first message, a verse from scripture detailing witchcraft, divination, and how God will protect his own from curses and spells from the enemy, but he doesn't protect you from cursing yourself by following those that are wicked placed there to try to influence you, right? And that's what was used as the first Morse code message, which has now evolved into the internet. Here is an interesting quote from around that time about the telegraph, right? 1858, from author Charles F. Briggs, right? He said, "Of all the marvelous achievements of modern science, the electric telegraph is transcendently the greatest and most serviceable to mankind. The whole earth will be belted with the electric current, palpitating with human thoughts and emotions. How potent a power, then, is the telegraphic destined to become in the civilization of the world. This binds together by a vital cord all the nations of the earth. It is impossible that old prejudices and hostilities should longer exist, while such an instrument has been created for an exchange of thought between all the nations of the earth." What does it say in Revelation 13? "The false prophet causes the earth and them which dwell therein to follow the beast." It also says, "The false prophet maketh fire come down from heaven in the sight of man." That's your electricity. In the sight of man, what you watch on your screens with your eyes, and so on. So that is how it works, in my opinion, yeah? And one modern example of this is this Eurovision Irish song entry, which is this woman who puts on this stereotypical satanic performance, which is in the final now, I believe. It's on this Saturday. And I've looked into this a little bit. This person, right, doesn't seem to have existed online until a couple of years ago. I mean, I could be wrong, but I can't find any info before that. So this person seems to have only existed online since 2021. And to me, this whole thing, it comes across as something that is planted, yeah? I mean, everything to a certain extent with shows like this is gonna be rigged. And this particular entry, it seems very staged, it's very set up. And at the Eurosong semi-finals, this Irish act is also promoting the transgender flag, and it wanted to wear a Palestine flag as well, which the TV company apparently stopped it from doing. A big fuss over that. So now it is seen as a political protest song of sorts, and it's connected to loads of propaganda. And to me, that has all the hallmarks of it being staged, set up, of it being planted for social engineering, propaganda reasons. And in that case, you know what? It could end up winning. Who knows? And all of this is done, I believe, to mislead people, to cause outrage and division, and ultimately so that people corrupt and defile themselves by their reactions. And of course, the Eurovision Song Contest is well known for doing this type of thing. And if you look online on social media at the moment, which I don't advise, you can see how this person is being artificially propped up by a similar fake network of people and bots that push and promote many in the CO network. They already have a phrase for the act, crown the witch. This, in my opinion, seems very planted to cause outrage. And the false prophet does things like this to divide and conquer. So you end up getting two kinds of response, two extreme responses. Like this one, for example, that says, "This is literally demonic, and our national broadcaster RTE are supporting this open witchcraft. Disgusting." And this tweet has 500,000 views, and loads of people are arguing in the comments, bickering and agreeing and disagreeing and so forth. Or you get this type of response: "This was the most original performance we ever had in the whole history of Eurovision. And I'm dead serious about it. I'm so effing speechless. This needs to win." And again, this triggers loads of bickering and insults in the comments and so forth. Now, both of these comments get pushed very heavily by the algorithm because they are two extreme opinions. It could be argued that they are also fake to artificially create a controversy. Not saying it is, but you never know. It's outrage engagement farming. And as I already stated, let's just say this act is planted in there to create these extreme opinions for social engineering and propaganda, and to help a participating audience to further corrupt themselves. Let's just say it is, because either one you pick, if you pick either of these responses, you are cursing yourself. Let's say you're the first one. You say it's demonic, it's disgusting, I'm outraged, etc., etc. And let's say I'm right, and this person is an actor, and it's all pretend, it's all staged, it's all fabricated, all of it. And they are lying about themselves, and they've been planted there. And you're actually condemning them. You're saying this person should be banned, or saying they should be arrested, or worse, yeah? I saw someone online saying, oh, it shouldn't be crowned a witch, it should be burn a witch. This is a very extreme thing to say. If this person is fake and is pretending, they have to live with that. It's their problem. But if you have hatred towards this person, it's a bit like, how can I put it, wanting to arrest Daniel Radcliffe and locking him up in jail for witchcraft, you know? He was pretending in Harry Potter. He was acting, okay? I know that this is slightly different, as this person states they are into witchcraft. But then if that is the case, like I said, that is their problem. They are the ones following witchcraft. They are the ones cursing themselves by doing that. It's their problem. And it's nothing you should be worried about, because as already stated in scripture, these people cannot curse you. They have no power. If you follow Jesus, you are protected, right? So if you're the first one and you've allowed yourself to be triggered, you've been hooked in. You've been caught out because you've allowed the false prophet to engage you. And you're then outraged at what you have been shown by something that is, and we have to remember, that is all powered by the father of lies. So you have to realize that what you're seeing probably isn't even true. It's all fake, but it's hooked you in. You have been triggered, and you're so outraged that it's made you feel hate to the point of condemning or hating that person, saying it online. So in that way, it's making you curse yourself, because you're not exactly loving your neighbor as yourself, are you? And all it is that you have been triggered by images you've seen on a screen of people you have never met. Then on the flip side, if you're the second, right, and you think it's great, oh, what a great song, oh, this should win, I'm fully behind this. Or you're young and you're easily influenced, and you watch this person and you start thinking, oh, I think I'll give witchcraft a try, or I want to become a witch like this person, and you do this or whatever. If that's the case, then you of course are also cursing yourself, because witchcraft and sorcery is an abomination in the eyes of the Lord. So you see how the false prophet of the internet media, it wins on both counts. It wins by corrupting and defiling the audience, whatever the opinion is, whichever the response is. And that is how the false prophet works. That is how crafty it is. And it requires your active participation. The only way of beating it is to not participate at all, is to not allow yourself to engage with it. It really is as simple as that. Okay, that's me done. As always, thanks for listening. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support and your prayers. And I will see you in the next video. Your eyes are a shade of blue. The light from the screen, is it telling you what to do? Your mind, are your thoughts now really your own? Or are you a victim of an MK Ultra show? Take care not to be deceived. Those actors on the stage, they're all working for the beast machine. Corrupt your mind in every way. The false prophet brought fire down from the sky this way. Don't say you never were warned. You need to again be born. Whoa. You're going round on a wheel of sand. Where's the fake stream media span? Whoa. It's just mind control. The internet around it is a snare, like a big black hole. All roads lead to Rome, the same old song. To keep you from salvation is the plan they had all along. Don't say you never were warned. You need to again be born. Whoa. You're going round on a wheel of sand, which the fake stream media span. Whoa. Take care to not be deceived. Fear not, for you can believe. No. Are you following man-made scripts as opposed to following scripture? Are you following man-made scripts as opposed to following scripture? Take care to not be deceived. Fear not, for you can